I am Amanda, and this is Tori Simmons.
Hi.
And she is going to talk to you a little bit about her life as a military wife. Her husband is in the military, so I will let her tell what branch of the military. We love the military.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we do. We do love it. It's not all bad.
Right, that's right. Yeah, my brother was actually in the military and just got out, so...
Yeah, so my husband's in the Coast Guard. He actually went to the Coast Guard Academy, graduated in 2000, and I met him after he was already in the Coast Guard.
Okay,
so,
yeah.
I can tell a little bit about that. We met in, I think it was 2001.
Okay.
He'd been on a ship for about a year, and it's usually a 2-year tour, so he was already in it, loving it. Yeah, we were actually only dating for a few months because he was going to be moving in a year.
Oh, wow, yeah.
So we dated, I can't remember how long, but it was just a few months, and he proposed, and it was funny because he always tells the story of the first time he got underway for like 2 or 3 months after we met. He was like, I don't even know if she's going to answer the phone the first time I call.
Yeah.
So, and I never, I never thought about that, but I think about it sometimes now. It's like, of course, it was definitely meant to be. So,
Aw, that's so sweet.
we were engaged for about a year, and it's even from the beginning I should have seen the flags because we had to change our wedding date 3 times because it was like, oh, he's getting back now. No, and I was leaving.
Yes,
and it's getting back. So we finally got married, and our honeymoon, I was sure that he was going to have to be able to, he was transferring to DC for, I think it was school that time.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, we're done with the ship, right? And his CO made him get underway with the ship for 2 weeks, just as kind of like a power play, like, oh, you're not done. So that made me really mad. I've let go of it by now, but I should have seen flags from the beginning because I was sure my plan was no more sea time. Okay, he's done his service. He's gone to sea. We're going to be in 20 years, and he'll get out of the military because it's going to be hard. And I had my plan of how I knew it was going to go. Yeah. So fast forward about 3 years after he had finished, we were in DC for a year of school, and then he had a 3-year payback tour where he had to work in DC. Okay. And he comes home and tells me, well, I'm going back to a ship. And because I was devastated, right? I'm like, no, God, this is not the way it was supposed to go. So I've learned since then that obviously God's plan is way better than mine.
That's right.
So yeah, there's been some hard times. He's gone back to back 2 ships, and then a high profile job where he had a lot of long hours and travel back and forth. And then it was to Guam, another ship. So there's been some tough times, but for the most part, God has been really, really, really faithful.
Yeah,
so,
that's good.
Yeah.
So he's in the Coast Guard, and then how long has he been?
19 years. So we graduated 2000, and this is 19. Again, I knew we were getting out at 20, but the end is not in sight. Right. And I'm good with that now. I'm like,
that's good.
He loves the Coast Guard.
Yeah,
so,
that's awesome. And you guys have 2 kids.
2 kids, a 12-year-old boy and a 9-year-old girl, and we homeschool.
Yes.
Lots of reasons, but the flexibility because of the military life.
Absolutely.
And him being gone and then being back, and we can go on vacation, or they can always be there to when right before the ship leaves, they'll have a week off, and right when they get back, they usually have about a week off. So my kids, instead of being in school, can be with him. So that has one of the reasons. So,
that's perfect. So what would you say is, well, let's start with this. Where are some of the places that you've lived? Because you guys have been here for
7 years.
I was about to say
almost
8.
7. Okay. Yes, almost 7 years.
So where have you been?
We've been here. This will be the 2nd time.
Okay.
We were here when my son was born 12 years ago. For 2 years then. We've been in the DC area twice. Okay. And we've been to Guam, which is where my daughter was born. Okay. So again, part of that, my plan from the beginning was that we're always going to live relatively close to my family in North Carolina. So we're going to live in South Carolina, North Carolina, or Virginia. We're not going to go anywhere else, right? So,
Okay, so what do you think is one of the most challenging pieces of being a military wife or a military family?
Definitely for us, the deployments getting underway, him being gone a lot. That is obviously everybody's, oh, I don't know how you do it. And really, it's not me. It's absolutely God, you know, being faithful through that. So that's definitely one of the obvious hard things. Right. Another one of the hardest things is not knowing, like when it comes time to transfer, he gets to put in, okay, these are the things I want, you know, in order of the jobs that he wants in this area and that area. but we won't know. I mean, that you put that in the fall, and you may not know, especially when earlier in the career.
Okay.
So we may not know for months. Are we moving?
Right.
Where are we moving? When I found out we were going to Guam, I was devastated. I cried. I hated it, and then I ended up loving living there.
Yeah,
So that is one of the things that people might not quite understand, that it's hard not knowing. And another way that you just learn to rely that God plan, because at the beginning, not knowing frustrated me to know in, and I would bug him all the time. Have you heard yet? Have you heard yet? We actually we're moving in a couple of months. This time around, and even it's getting better every time. Like, okay, well, I want to know. Obviously, I want to know where we're moving to, and I want to know, are we moving? But I can trust that it doesn't really matter. Like, wherever we're going, it's where God has us. So,
exactly. Yeah, that's awesome. So, let's see. What is one of the biggest obstacles you've had to overcome as a family? So, maybe that might be some overlapping with deployment, but what do you feel like has been one of the greatest obstacles?
I think with the deployments, for Coast Guard, for the most part, it's not a long 8-month or year-long deployment.
Right.
It's 2 or 3 months back, 2 or 3 months gone. So one of the biggest things has been, okay, when he leaves, I have to take it all.
Right.
And I'm the mom and the dad. I'm doing everything. I've had to be willing to ask for help. That's one of the things military wives are not good at. Asking for help for sure, and even letting people help, because you get used to, I have to do it all. So what if you're not here? What if so and so is out of town? I can't. I have to be able to do it. So letting go of that control has been a big thing. And the first couple of weeks are hard. You get used to holding everything, and then it's really disruptive when he comes back and he's around a lot more.
Right.
So it's like, okay, I've been doing everything, and he wants to come back and help. And it's like, no.
Right.
You have to give me time to give you things back. Like, don't come in wanting to, and me understanding that he was not coming back to control, but to help. And him understanding that, hey, I've been doing this, and I gotta, decompress a little bit.
And you have a system. I think even with not being a military wife, I have a system throughout the week with our children.
Absolutely.
And then on the weekends, when my husband is home, he does an amazing job, but sometimes we know how it may have worked a little bit better just because we're there.
Yes.
So with that, how would you tell a military wife that's watching, how have you learned to ask for help? What do you do when you need help?
It's still pretty hard for me to ask for help. I think the first step is letting other people help you when they offer. And realizing that I can ask, I will help other people if they ask me. So why won't I let them bless me? Looking at it differently than, it's not a reflection of I can't do it all, because I can't. But it's really allowing God to use other people, and I know how much it blesses me to help others, so not taking that blessing away from them.
I was just about to say that. I was just about to say that it's not always about us. That's getting the blessing. It's about the person that God has chosen, that they get that blessing too, and they get to share in that blessing. So I love that you said that.
It just helps you grow closer to people when you help each other.
So when he's gone, what does life look like? How does the day-to-day go for you guys?
We, for the most part, during the weekdays, we homeschool, so a lot of times he won't be around for breakfast or lunch anyway, so it's not different, really. It's bedtimes that are hard. That used to be harder than they are now. The kids are getting older, and they understand, even though they'll have days where they're upset. But the first couple of weeks are hard. But yeah, we just try to find other things, spend more time with friends or involved in activities and to help distract. Really, Saturdays and Sundays are the worst. But again, finding, hey, we're going to go for a walk on Sunday afternoons, and just finding something to do outside
and fill the time. So when he is gone, or even when he's back, where do you feel like you draw your strength from? How do you draw your strength?
That has been a tough one. It's definitely, I've had to learn to rely on God. I remember when, after Howie, my oldest, my son, was born, it was hard. He was a baby, and he did not sleep well. My husband was gone, and I actually had a seizure at near the end of my pregnancy, and I couldn't drive for several weeks. So he took me, me and my little baby, down to my parents in North Carolina because I had no one here. We had only lived here for like 6 months or so by then. So I didn't really know anyone. So that helped me, we didn't really form a lot of community here. And I remember walking circles in my bedroom, you know, literally like crying out, God, you have to help me through this. Because I didn't, you know, our relationship, it's really about a relationship with God. I grew up with not necessarily learning it's a relationship, you know, God was God.
Right, yes.
You know, so forming that relationship and literally crying out. I mean, I remember being down on the floor like, I can't do this. This baby won't sleep. I'm not sleeping. And I had no one. Or like I felt like I had no one. Because we would go and we would kind of retreat to my parents' house. And not forming friends was definitely not a good thing.
Okay, yeah. So what is one of the biggest things that you have learned through your life as a military wife?
Yes, one of the biggest things is absolutely to be flexible. I'm a kind of person, and when you have kids especially, you need the routine of, okay, I have meal plans, and this is how our, not necessarily a schedule of time, but a routine of how things go. And I do believe that's important, and there was a season where God was really growing that in me to have this routine so that I'm not, you know, oh, you know, the bathrooms haven't been cleaned in 3 weeks. Just having it, okay, maybe I miss cleaning the toilets one day. That's okay. But really having that to rely on. But, you know, over the years, especially the past 3 or 4 years, God is teaching me, okay, you can have that routine, but you can't be rigid, stick to it. You have to be flexible. So even something simple like our meal plan, we had this always on Monday morning breakfast, and this was a Tuesday breakfast. Well, now, okay, I haven't been to the grocery store. I can switch those things around, and it's okay. So being flexible in so many ways is God's really, really teaching me.
That's good.
Showing me that.
That's awesome. So, what is the most challenging part of the deployment? I may have kind of already asked this in a different way.
You know, that has been different, honestly, with the ages of the kids. With younger kids, it's really the practical things like, you know, you need your husband there to help take the kids for a couple of hours or help you cook, you know, on the weekends. And as they've gotten older, it really becomes more of the emotional missing. You know, I miss my friend. You know, they miss their dad. They, you know, the kids learning to. It's funny because when Howie was a baby, Nick would be gone for 2 to 3 months, and he would come back, and Howie was almost angry, like treated him like a stranger. So that was really hard. But as they get older, they, you know, they know that's their dad, so they miss him. You know, Mavis, the little girl, she'll be in tears. I miss Daddy. And you know, trying to be that emotional support for.
I can see that being a very difficult thing. I mean, I know I watch my kids when he just comes home from work and how excited they are to see him, and so that would probably be one of the most difficult. So if there are military wives watching right now and maybe their husbands are gone right now and they're feeling lonely, what would you say to them? Have you ever felt lonely?
Oh, yes.
And then in that, what have you done to make so that you're not feeling that way?
I mean, it's going to sound cliche, but really praying and reading the Bible. I feel like Romans 8, the book of Romans was really a great one for me. But Romans chapter 8, and especially the verse talks about, you know, that nothing, absolutely nothing can separate us from God. And, you know, life, death, all of these things. And at one point during all of this, it struck me like life. Okay, why would you think life could separate you from God? But it does. These things, these everyday things, you get caught up in this life. And you can let that get in the way of you and God. And He has to be the one to pull you through. And I also think with that, you have to let other people be God's hands and feet here for you. And His voice and opening up, which is not an easy thing for me personally. Getting outside of my comfort zone. Some people are natural extroverts, and maybe they have to learn to tone it down. Okay, let other people talk sometimes. Don't interrupt all the time. But even the ones who are naturally introverts, you have to get out of your comfort zone also. And force yourself to open up to people, because that's the way to form community and relationships and not be as lonely.
Right, yeah. And so how did you find the community? You know, if they're saying, well, you're saying that I need community, but like, how am I going to get there? Where would you suggest they look?
I definitely prayed for God to provide people, and nowadays social media really can help with that. I remember way back, again, 12 years ago, there was meetup.com. I don't even know if that's a thing anymore.
I've never
but
heard
you would
that,
find
that's
groups that, and I found like a mom's group locally, and so we got to know some people that way.
Yeah,
and
that's
so
great.
You can look, and now I look, Facebook for homeschooling groups, and not isolating yourself, and absolutely with a church. I know you can watch services online. That's great if you're sick, if you can't make it, but you're not going to meet people watching a service online. Going to church and not running in and running out. You have to be open to talk to people.
Come on now, Tori, that's great. That's good.
And, take that next step of serving. That really is, I'm not,
But
you
it's true.
have to reach out and get to know people willing to step up and serve and get involved in groups.
Yeah, I mean, even with my husband and I, we've been going to the church that we've been to now for almost a year, and community church in Chesapeake, and I mean, it's a larger church, and I remember walking in thinking, oh my goodness, this is so big, like I know no one, or I'm not going to know anyone. And that might be how a military wife could feel the same type of thing, or a military husband. I'm not trying to discount, it's just the fact that we have Tori here today. So, but I can see where it might be intimidating, and it might be out of your comfort zone. But when you put yourself out there, like you're saying, and you go to a community group, or you go to help serve in an area at the church, you're going to meet people, and then you're going to meet people that are in the same walk of life that you are. So, then you can sit down with someone else who's going through the same things and talk about the frustrations and how God has been able to help you with that. So I love that. The community is absolutely needed.
And another important thing along with that is you've got to get outside of your own problems. Get outside of like, okay, this is hard for me. Think about how you can help someone else. It really, really does. If you take the focus off of your own difficulties and realize somebody out there for sure has it as bad, worse. There's all kinds of people. Helping someone else through something really does help. And that's another way to form communities.
And so with the military families, I feel like there's sometimes this, that it's just so, like, that it's always bad, that there's so many bad things, because you are missing your spouse and your family is separated. But what are some of the really good things that you've gotten out of being a military family?
Well, I mean, there are the practical things like the benefits as far as healthcare and all that. May not always, some people even complain about that, but it's been great for us. We've never had any problems. But we've had opportunities to travel, definitely go to some places that when I was growing up, I was like, I never thought I would even move out of my hometown. But living in Guam and traveling to Thailand and Hong Kong and these places, and being able to go on vacations even at off times. There's definitely some really practical things, but and also with the deployments, even that, I know, and my husband knows that he's doing something that is good for our country. There's the patriotism that goes with that. Like even I can tell the kids, like, Daddy did this. Daddy's doing these great things to help keep us safe here.
And that is, I mean, look, I'm telling you, I'm not joking when I say that every single homecoming video I ever see, I cry. Because it is so, like, I just think about, I mean, I'm tearing up right now because it's so special to know that we do have people that are going out and they are defending, and whether that means they are out to sea and they're not physically having to defend, they're still doing that. They're still sacrificing. Absolutely. And so there is freedom, I think, even in the lifestyle of a military family, where yes, when they are home, you are able to do some of those things that if he had a 9-to-5 job that you may not be able to do. So I can see that would be really, really good. So what would you say is like one of the best memories maybe even from Guam,
Yeah,
aside from
definitely.
from like having the baby there.
Well,
you know?
yeah, that's, of course, that's gonna be the best.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, it's hard to pick just one.
Okay.
But I would say overall, just the opportunities we had to go places. We went to Australia and New Zealand, so that was probably the best.
Okay.
That was while I was pregnant, but with Mavis, so we had a 2-year-old. But we went to Australia for a couple of nights, and then went to New Zealand and traveled all around South Island. So we rented a car, and we would sleep in bed and breakfast, and it was just somewhere I probably would not have gotten to go. But yeah, it was really cool.
Awesome. I love that. Okay, so how are some of the ways that you could tell someone that does have children, kind of teaching them how to cope? I know you said that the probably more of the difficult thing now as they've gotten older is just with some of the emotion things. So how do you help them with coping?
We definitely pray a lot together, and like I said, reminding them that Daddy's doing something to help, and that you know, when they were younger, we would also do the jar where we'd have like full of M&Ms or pieces of chocolate for however many days he was going to be gone, and we'd put every day you get to eat one, and then you'd see less and less. So that was definitely helped when they were younger.
I love that.
And some people with the longer deployments will have, okay, at halfway we get an ice cream party or things like that.
Yeah,
but the emotional stuff, and it's good now. I remember when we were first dating, he would get email twice a week. So he could receive email and send email twice a week. And if things were, you know, the computer was down, then it was over.
Right.
And he would have to get a calling card to call us on a payphone or call me on a payphone. Yeah. But FaceTime now definitely helps. Yeah. And I do think too, remembering and telling the kids that, okay, you know, we're here missing Daddy, but we have each other. Yes. And he's there. He's busy with stuff, but remember, he doesn't, you know, he doesn't have us with him. So just helping to help them to love each other and, you know.
Yeah, that's really good. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so you said that Romans is definitely a book in the Bible that you have that's kind of helped you. Is there any other Bible passages or anything that you feel like have really helped you to just...
I think getting to know the Holy Spirit is something that has helped me a lot. Okay. Not all religions, not all churches, you know, believe that it's active, he's active the same way, and I have found it to absolutely be true. Yes. And the fruit of the Spirit for sure, trying to focus on that and teach the kids that. Yeah. And then there was a book several years ago, The Power of a Praying Life, which is, you know, kind of a cliche one. There was a military edition that was, I don't remember how we got it, but I got it. And one of the things that stuck with me, especially from that book, was you can't pray to change someone else, your husband, whoever. If what he's doing is bothering you, you can't pray, God, make him, you know, do the dishes every night. Yeah. You have to pray for yourself to be more graceful, and let the Holy Spirit be his conviction. Yes. And that has even carried over into other relationships and other, like just my thought life in general. Yeah. Let's say I'm desiring something, or someone has hurt my feelings. Lord, if this is something I need to confront that person about, or if this is your will for me that you want this new car in my life or whatever, then if it's not, I guess if it's not, take those thoughts away from me. And I have time and again, God usually does take the thoughts away, those desires. And if it is his will, you know, you'll know over time those thoughts will keep coming back. So and I actually have referenced that author before in one of the other previous interviews. It's Stormy O'Mardian is the author. And I love that book too, because I haven't done the military edition, but I'm sure they are specific prayers. So even in your prayer time, if you're just so frustrated with, you know, the fact that he might be on deployment, or that your family is struggling because you're not together, that there are specific prayers that you can pray. It's really good. And it really just shows you how to pray, I think. Yeah. So that's really good. So do you think you have anything else to add? Let's see. Yeah, I think one of the big things, and this is for any marriage, but especially when he gets back, reconnecting, finding something
Yes,
we can do together.
That was one of the questions. I was like going through, and but that was the one question I hadn't asked yet. So yes, tell us about.
So it is important.
Reconnecting.
You know, the obvious things like date nights and things like that, which are harder when the kids are younger, usually when they're older. But even little things like, okay, we're going to make a point. Everybody has the same 24 hours in a day.
Yes.
It's how you choose to spend that time. We will work out together.
Yeah.
Or, okay, we're going to watch a TV tonight after the kids go to bed instead of going to bed. We're just making anything that you can, something you can do together.
Yes.
It definitely, and for us, working out together has been a big thing. So
yeah, I love that.
But it can be going to, if you both want to go to a paint night or just finding anything that you can do that you both, and maybe it's not always something. He has pulled me into different types of workouts than I would have normally done.
Yeah.
And I know I got him to do a triathlon. He'll never do another one probably, but he's more of the Spartan race guy. And I did one of those with him. So being willing to compromise on what you do with each other. But
I love that. It is so important. Absolutely. That I'm glad that you said that, because that was something that I really think is important, because I know there's a saying, the absence makes the heart grow fonder. And it can be true, but then also, like what you've said, is then when you come home and you are sort of disrupting the flow of life now, how do we make a point to really spend time together and to not like get at each other's throats, you know? And so I think that is absolutely important to really make time to connect and do date nights. And then even, does he, and maybe he doesn't, but does he do like individual dates with the kids, or do you try to do that?
Yes, we do try to do that. We haven't always done as well as we should, but that is definitely a good thing for us all to do. And because when he's gone, I'm with the kids a lot, but it's very much me being just you got to do this, you got to do that, keeping everything in line.
You're not the fun mom
so
right
I
now.
can't be the fun mom. Daddy gets home and he's all the fun
Exactly.
daddy. So, there definitely is on both sides that. And I do think a lot of military, well, I won't say a lot, but you seem to hear more of the, oh, well, he's gone. You know, I'm glad when my husband's gone, because, and I feel like that's really sad, because when my husband's gone, I want him back. I don't want him gone. And I think because at some point when they're gone, you start to lose that connection. So if you don't make a point to get that back, eventually it will just get wider and wider.
So that is
and you may want him
important.
gone a lot. So.
Right. Well, good. I'm glad that you said that. So with the other people that are watching and the military wives, what's just one last thing that you would want them to take from watching today?
Yeah, let's see. I feel like I've covered so much.
I know. Maybe just.
Sorry.
No, you're fine.
I think I've said everything.
Right. Yeah. No, I was just thinking like kind of a recap of finding friendships.
Yes. The biggest thing will be to be open. Be open to being flexible to not just, I talked about that with the routine, but be flexible with where God is going to have you, who's God putting in your life, and being flexible with, you're not always going to know. I mean, I guess, the Proverbs 31, laughing without fear of the future is probably a really big. And getting to the point where you can claim that you're laughing without fear of the future. Like I said, we're moving in a couple of months, and we're going next week to look at the houses, kind of, but we haven't put our house on the market yet. It's going to go up, and I'm claiming that it will sell in May when we put it up. I don't know if that'll happen. That may not be God's will, but that's my claim now, and that we'll be able to find a house. But trusting that no matter if it doesn't go that way, I'm going to be flexible and open to whatever God has.
Yes,
so,
amen. Yes, that's good. Well, thank you, Tori.
Thank you.
I love her, and I appreciate you coming on and just sharing a little bit. And we love our military.
Yes,
so
we do. Thank you.
I sometimes, I don't do it all the time, but if you're out and you see somebody that is dressed in a military clothing, just go and thank them. I've thanked people before. I've like cried in front of them and hugged them, and sometimes it's good just to let them know that you appreciate them. So, and I mean, you never know, like they could be away from their family at Chick-fil-A and you don't know that they are, so.
And there will even be veterans. They're wearing hats or something from. So
that's good. So we thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time.